Will an avoidant regret letting you go? Do they miss you? Or do they feel nothing? These are questions we get asked a lot at So Synced, and I'm going to share the answers with you today. Hi, I'm Jess. I've helped over 5,000 people find love, and I run a one-to-one coaching program to help you heal your attachment style so you can feel secure and stop sabotaging relationships. If you're ready for that transformation, sign up via the link in the description box. So a lot of people assume that an avoidant just moves on after a breakup without a second thought, that they don't really feel anything and they just get on with their life. But most of the time that isn't true, even if it looks like it from the outside. It really depends on whether you had a genuinely strong connection and also how things ended. So if things ended because the avoidant felt overwhelmed or trapped all of a sudden, there's a pretty predictable path that plays out. If an avoidant ended things for these reasons, in that moment their fears were greater than their desire to be with you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that their desire for a connection with you was low. It could also be that they really liked you, but their fears were overwhelming. The key thing here is the difference between the desire for the connection and their fears. Avoidants often have fears around being trapped. So let's take an example. Let's say expectations are growing in the relationship, which, to be clear, is natural. Expectations do grow over time. But suddenly their fears overtake their desire to be with you. And just to be clear, it's absolutely not a reflection of your worth in any way. So right, their fears are huge at this point, and they're probably not consciously thinking, this is terrifying. It's usually more of a feeling of discomfort for avoidance. Then they end things because they really don't like this internal discomfort. And they also often don't really know what's going on themselves. They usually wouldn't be able to put it into words unless they know about attachment styles, say. So things end, and at this point, their fears are still big. Immediately after, they might feel a sense of relief, like they can breathe again. They'll probably keep themselves busy and not think too much about it at this point. They'll usually go hard distracting themselves. And they might have thoughts pop up like, was that the right decision? Or maybe I did like them though. But they'll usually move on from those thoughts quite quickly at this point. And instead of reaching out, most avoidants double down on those distractions. They throw themselves into work, new hobbies, dating apps, anything that stops them from sitting with that discomfort. But then the fears start subsiding in the weeks or sometimes months after the breakup. They start remembering specific moments with you, laughing in the kitchen, a deep late night conversation, a nice trip away. And they might feel a bit sad at this point, which is rare for avoidance or somewhat rare. And as the fears subside even more, they can actually really start to miss you, especially if you had a strong bond and they felt really seen. The truth is, most avoidants don't meet people they really click with and connect with very often. They're logical people, and they do know how hard it is for them to find something like that again. And also, they often don't feel very seen. So when they lose someone who actually understood them, it actually isn't something that they easily forget. Yes, they might try to numb the pain and distract themselves, but that doesn't usually work forever if it was a big breakup and if it was a breakup with someone that they truly cared about. I've worked with avoidants who actually really miss their exes. Sometimes they are deeply sad and really struggle to move on. Dismissive avoidants as well as fearful avoidants. Sometimes they can't move on for years, even if they're not in contact. Sure, dismissive avoidants in particular are less in touch with their emotions, but they aren't robots. They do feel still. And a quick heads up, if you're constantly overthinking and second guessing yourself, I've got something that can help. I've put together the Anxious Attachment Starter Kit. It's your perfect first step to shift from anxious to secure. You'll get the attachment awareness map, the trigger translator, and guided exercises to help you get clear on the kind of love that is actually right for you. You'll also get powerful tools to help you reconnect with yourself and build the relationship you've always wanted. And I'm giving it away for free for a limited time. Every day lost to anxious attachment is a day you won't get back. So if this speaks to you, don't wait. I've helped over 5,000 people find love through So Synced. My work has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, the New York Times, and many more. So yes, click the link in the description box to get the starter kit while it's still available. So yes, avoidants, even if they miss you, may not reach out. Sometimes they will, and that does happen for sure, but other times they won't, because reaching out is a vulnerable thing to do in a situation like this. It would potentially mean admitting they might have made a mistake. It would mean risking rejection or, admitting that they ran from it in the first place. It can feel very exposing. And if they do reach out, they might test the waters first. It usually won't be a big, long emotional message. Instead, it's usually something more casual like, hey, how have you been? Or sending a meme or a photo related to an inside joke. That's their way of checking, is it safe to properly open this door again? Avoidants often need to feel out the situation before risking anything deeper or more vulnerability. And if you respond warmly, they might slowly share more. If you seem distant or hurt, they might retreat back into their shell. That testing phase isn't about playing games, it's about their fear. Reaching out feels risky, so they do it in a way that protects them from feeling too exposed or minimizes it. Another point to note is that they may not reach out for other reasons too, even if they miss you. They may stay silent if they feel embarrassed about how they left things, or if they've decided deep down that you're just fundamentally not compatible. Embarrassment is difficult for avoidants to deal with, so that can really hold them back. And incompatibility, that can be their logic saying, well, if we're not compatible, it doesn't make sense to reach out, even if they do feel a pull towards you. Dismissive avoidants in particular aren't very impulsive. They aren't the type to reach out just because they miss you. They're often quite self-controlled. So even when they feel that pull, they usually can override it with logic or pride. Fearful avoidants can be more impulsive, and you're more likely to get an unexpected "I miss you" text from them. So yes, an avoidant can absolutely miss you and regret letting you go. If you had a strong connection, there's a very high chance of that. It might not be immediate, but it will likely surface at some point. They are human. They have a need to feel connected, seen, and understood, like we all do. Yes, they often suppress those needs, but they're still there. And remember, even if they miss you, it doesn't mean that they'll necessarily reach out. If you're in a situation where you're wondering if they regret letting you go, the best thing you can do is to work on your own healing and rebuild your self-trust. And that's the journey I guide people through in my one-to-one coaching program. If you're ready to break those patterns and feel secure in yourself, sign up via the link in the description box. Thanks for watching.